Hey, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of ClariTea Chat. Wait, I'm having a bit of malfunction. No. So, sorry, I was trying to access from another device because we are sitting a little away from the laptop, and for me, it would be a bit of a struggle to join the to look at the audience question, but not an issue. Welcome to this 73rd edition of ClariTea Chat. I have with me Bhupendra Pant.
Hi, Jagdish. Welcome to Oman, and thank you for having me in this session of ClariTea Chat.
You're welcome, Bhupendra. He's the CIO of OTE Group, welcome to ClariTea Chat. For a change, this is not a virtual cheers. So, for introductions, OTE is Oman's leading business group with exclusive distributorships of global automotive brands. The OTE group upholds the traditional Omani values of fairness and genuine respect for customers, employees, and business partners. Well, as you can see, I'm in Muscat, Oman on a Diwali vacation, working from anywhere, and I'm taking this opportunity to have the ClariTea Chat with Bhupendra. He has 29 years of experience in manufacturing, IT, organization change initiatives like sustainability and strategy, having worked in L&T, Welspun, and now OTE Group. So, Pant's philosophy is be there for your stakeholders to build credibility and trust, and you will see as we go along the chat, you will see that this is reflected in whatever he has been doing. So he's an alumnus of LD College of Engineering, Gujarat, and SP Jain, Mumbai. He's a business and IT leader with 29 years of experience, having worked in L&T, Welspun, and OTE. Along the way, he has worked in manufacturing, sales and operations planning, business strategy, sustainability, etc., giving him a holistic perspective of business. So what we will cover today is taking initiative, identifying and solving problems before they are told to you, being the businessman in IT, establishing credibility with senior stakeholders, learning from failures and bouncing back, and very importantly, and as the theme of ClariTea Chat is, technology is necessary but not sufficient in a slightly different way, which is there is no booster dose of technology. An overdose can make the organization cynical and unable to absorb the change. And we'll see some case studies outlining these. We'll start with a rapid sound and a reverse question to me. But before we start talking of serious things, let's get some energy going up, Bhupendra. So share with us your tryst with the cycle puncture shop.
Wow. Thank you for starting with that point, Jagdish. This is also represent my earliest struggle with the childhood. When I was studying in Assam as a child, I had to struggle to meet my parents' expectation. Not only to meet, opposite of that. So as a working in ONGC Assam, and they have come up hard ways. And he has set up an expectation like you have to, if you don't study, that is there used to be a place called Station Charali where there was a puncture shop. This is the future, either or you focus on studies and make good career. So that remained in my mind in early childhood, though I could not figure out how to know. I had no clue how to get started. I had all reasons to believe what my parents are setting expectation for me is all for everything was fine. But somewhere I was too casual child or
Sir, excuse me, sir. We are sorry to say there is no sound out there. Uh, excuse me, sir. There is no sound out there. We are sorry, sir. We are sorry to say that we have lost your sound. We have lost your sound. We have lost your sound, sir. No, no, it's still not there. There is no sound.
Is it okay now? Is it okay
Yeah,
now?
it's okay now. It's okay now.
No. Okay, so we are using a. I hope it is okay now.
It's okay now, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so our Bluetooth is not working with Bhupen, so we'll have to shout actually.
yeah, let him come closer to the
Yeah. Let's come closer to the. Yeah. That's fine. Okay. So let's get a little closer and maybe just to get ourselves into the frame. Okay. Yeah. So I think just to repeat what you guys missed. I asked him about the tryst with cycle puncture shop, and what Bhupendra was narrating was that he was not very good at his studies, and his father used to point out to the puncture shop
and say that, why are you wasting your time? Why don't you join these guys and and learn how to repair cycle punctures? And the interesting part is how the transformation happened, and that's the thing that we are going to cover in a bit now about the entire transformation. Okay, so but before I go there, I'm seeing a lot of comments coming here that just shows the interest in Bhupendra. What you have to say.
I am unable to read it from here. Maybe
Yeah, but we'll try to do our best. Yeah. So just to acknowledge our audience, we have CXOs, founders, IT managers, and seasoned technology industry leaders in our audience. All of us know that technology is necessary but not sufficient to drive business performance. The guests in ClariTea Chat like Bhupendra have built the bridge between the necessary and sufficient, and they've cracked the code with the art of managing technologies. And ClariTea Chat basically brings you that bridge between their learnings and all of you, everyone who's trying to make an impact with technology. So thank you everyone for joining us for the last 72 weeks and encouraging us with your interactions and engagement. So let us see who we have here. We have Akshay Singh here. We have Sumit welcoming everyone from my team. We have Amarinder, Sat Shri Akal from Chandigarh, Jagdish Belwal. Please shake hands once again with Bhupendra from my side. Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you, Amarinder.
Sure, Amarinder. And then we have Dhaval Mankad. Hi, Bhupendra.
Hi, Dhaval.
Oh, so
Dhaval
he's
is
your
my ex-colleague from L&T. Now we'll have more ice creams at Dhaval.
Ah, okay. So he's having more ice creams.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Rakesh Singh. He's my college alumni and in Pune. Hey, thanks Rakesh for joining us. And he says good evening to you. And then we have, hey, I hope you are able to hear us now. We had a problem with our Bluetooth device here because we are sitting a little away from the laptop. So we put a Bluetooth device, but it's not working. So we'll manage by shouting then. Okay, so I hope you can hear us now, Amarinder. We have Dattatray Phatnaik. Hi, Dattatray. I hope you're able to hear us now. Yeah, and I'm in Oman. I'm here for next 1 week, and maybe let's connect separately on if there's a potential that we can meet. I'm actually meeting some of the people I met through ClariTea Chat here in a day or two. We have Partha Bhattacharya. Glad to see you here. Look forward to enlightening discussion. Okay, so guys, all of you out there, please do send us your comments. Please ask questions to Bhupendra. As you can see, it's going to be a very interesting chat, coming from a cycle puncture shop to becoming a CIO. Okay, I can see someone else here. So, Mohit Harbola joining here from Haldwani. Hey, Mohit, glad to see you here.
Mohit.
So, Mohit is an ex-Tata Motors colleague. Yeah. Okay. So let's begin the session, Pant. In the first part, let's try to look at your journey. So tell us a quick recap of your childhood right up to your first job. So we heard that part, you were not good in the studies.
Yeah, right. The good part you already heard. So starting from I was born in Pithoragarh in the remote area. The village is called Jakeri. And when I was, say, 4 years, we moved to Dehradun for studies and for my schooling. And then my dad was working in ONGC Assam, so we shifted. I started my schooling right from first standard in Assam. And this part I already narrated you. And if you have missed out because of the sound issue, I am again repeating. So dad has come up very hard way in his career. So the natural expectation for the parents is their child should make a good head start by studying, having good education and all. I was elder among two brothers, and there was a lot of expectation, lot of kind of push, but somehow being my very casual approach or a nervous child, I could never understand this, and where to get started. No, how there was no clue where to get started, and I always remained in the other end of the, if you rank the students, and somewhere if there were around two or three students failing in the class, so I used to calculate whether it would be going to be me, or but somehow I always managed to move to next standard. So this went on till say when I was in seventh standard. Then something what changed the things where my father got transferred to Gujarat. So we moved from east to west of India. It was a small town again, Ankleshwar, where I started from 8th standard in the KV Ankleshwar, Kendriya Vidyalaya Ankleshwar, and having changed the complete association there and coming to new location, there was a connection with studies later, and a lot of support I got from the teacher, and that gave me good, you can say, good uh, motivation to do better. And slowly and slowly it started improving, and that further motivated till the time, I mean, I was in class 10, I became number one. So if you look at moving from east to west, my movement in the classroom happened from last bench to the first bench. So in the 10th, by God grace, I topped the board exam, and there were a lot of then new set of expectation. I started aspiring for engineering, and I moved to Gujarat board from CBSE, and uh, doing good in the academics. I could get admission in LD College of Engineering then, and I wanted to do mechanical engineering that time. Though I had admission in medical science also, I was shortlisted for that also. But mechanical engineering was the choice I had, and I pursued that from LD College of Engineering, Ahmedabad, and a lot of good learning, good association in Gujarat. I traveled, I made good friends, and this the target of that engineering. Once you do a mechanical engineering, if it can culminate with a campus selection like L&T, Tata Motor, and the likes of that, then nothing like it. So that was from there I started my career with L&T, and that was the year 1993. So this is about my schooling and the academic part.
So this is like, literally a story of going from zero to hero, coming literally like, near failing in seventh to topping the school in 10th. And that actually, when I was talking to him, I realized that, there's so much of a role of teachers and, the guides, the mentors, which is there. And I think, that's something that we all can play a part, as we see youngsters around us, the kids around us. We can all play a part of being a little bit of a mentor to them. And just a little bit of a, that little finger, holding a little finger goes a long way.
True. Especially the parents, they never lose hope. At times there were frustration, but then yes, I started doing well. They still continued encouraging me.
Yeah. So, and I think L&T in our times, Tata Motors and L&T, Telco and L&T used to be the dream companies. And
right. In the campus, if you are through with that, you feel like your engineering is kind of safal ho gaya. Mechanical engineering at least, yeah.
So let's move on to a quick overview of your career. So Bhupen, this one is more like giving them showing them the ladder that you went up through, joining L&T as a GT. So just walk us through in the, let's say, in 3-4 minutes about like your different roles that you have played till here, and maybe just one highlight of each of the roles.
Yeah. So the first role was as a graduate engineer trainee. It was in the subsidiary of L&T at a small town called industrial town called Ankleshwar in Gujarat. and this is where I had also studied. It was a homecoming for me. So there was a lot of freedom and a lot of, it was a very high-tech shop floor in powder metallurgy. There were all high-tech equipment, you say CNC, grinding machines, CNC presses, PLC controlled furnaces, welding robots. So for a engineer, I could spend any amount of time in learning new things here, manufacturing processes, shop floor control, interactions with other department. So my department was though a production engineering, but I had a freedom since this unit was small. Everyone welcomed me in their department, and I could see that as a single Ankleshwar unit as the complete operation. So quickly I was moved to production planning and shop floor control related activities were very rigorous. And in those days there was something called overall India, there was quality movement. The economy was opening up. Each manufacturing company was specially gearing up for how they will stand in the open market economy and manufacture goods which will be truly ready for exports. So everyone went through this Japanese concept of total quality management and Kaizen, total employee involvement. So while doing this, I also became a trainer to the blue collar workforce. So a lot of program which I attended, I actually I have redone that for the workforce. And in doing so, I had to communicate to them. So I picked a lot of Gujarati there. So I actually made that OHP slides with the colored sketch pen in those days, and I wrote those slides in the Gujarati language, taking help and communicated. So this connected me very well to the blue collar workforce there, the shop floor guys rather. Yeah. So that as a result, I was always welcome to take initiative, and whatever the management want me to involve in the new initiative, that was so I'll be able to communicate better and connect better with the workforce. So that was the good thing in that part. And subsequently, a lot of initiatives on IT started happening. So there was no formal IT guy in that plant. There was no IT guy all set in the Hawaii head office. So whenever they wanted to do, there was always the next plant is your afterthought. You do it in the HO, then you roll out in the plant. So for them, I was there always, like setting up the first LAN setup. Then you're starting the email there in '96 and connecting this unit through a VSAT. So those are the things which they depended on me. Meanwhile, I never looked at it. I'm doing IT. It was something was expected from me. I coordinated, got it done, and in doing so, I learned how these things operate, how these are creating value and changing the lives in this plant. And in doing so, they never required an IT guy. So always when the new wave of ERPs came, at that time we were managing FoxPro based system, old databases, into segregated IT. So suddenly we decided to go for ERP. At that time, I played a key role in the production planning module, then subsequently learned other modules also. And I looked at ERP as a single tool to solve the business problem, not an individual module as the consultant looked from inside. So as a result, lot of thing from Powai, despite not having right consultant support in this unit or connectivity issues, we were truly online in time, which kind of surprised the management that time, and it was acknowledged by CEO that it is purely by the hard work and dedication by me and some of my supporting members. So as a result, lot of credibility was established that I can run IT when the CIO, not the CIO that time, the system manager who sat in Powai, so he left, and I was called in Mumbai to Powai to take over from him. And then I was from now in a dilemma, like manufacturing was not ready to relieve me, and at the same time I was on 3 days in Powai, 3 days in Ankleshwar for manufacturing. IT team was reporting to me. So this went on for 1.5 years, and by the time personally also, I was married. I had kind of one daughter, and we were in 2001. We were expecting the second baby. So this was becoming so personally challenged. And then I was kind of moved to asked to come to Hawaii and take charge of, as a head of IT, and that was my starting point as looking as a real IT head. And then I took on a lot of IT initiative, which was kind of revamping entire network, bringing in fiber optics, doing a lot of upgrade, doing some electronic data interchange. Many businesses of L&T were coming up with went live with SAP and other ERP. So building up the electronic data interchange, automating, making less dependence on manual work. So those are the things I did, which showed a lot of good value. So this went on for the project, which in 2007 I had a chance. 2005 to 7 I had a chance. From management, they sponsored me for executive MBA. After completing that, there was a stint with doing a strategic planning exercise, which is at a complete corporate level. So my business was trusting me so much that from other businesses, there were people from supply chain, marketing and all, but here was the welding product business where EVAC business, which nominated its IT guy to lead that strategic coordination. So that was really game changing. That basically improved my interest to remain as in the organization and manage IT rather than take a shift and go join some infotech company and become a consultant. So this is what I did with L&T. It continued later on, more responsibilities on sustainability and other business excellence. Those were coming. And I later on, last part of my career in L&T, I moved to corporate IT, where I had kind of the whole canvas became bigger. I had chance to interact and learn from each businesses of L&T. I was centrally supporting to all HO department as well as the large businesses of L&T, and that was again gave me a which I'll come to the subsequent part. Very, very good experience. I changed my job to I switched to Welspun Corp in 2017, mid 2017, which again was a experience in itself, like the culture where I have grown for almost 23 years. The change to an organization which was rapidly growing, very ambitious and entrepreneurial in its approach. So there, the whole cultural shift, learning into a new way of managing technology, that was another part which I did. And after say around 2018, and I moved to Oman, where I am currently working. And this was again a bumper to bumper change, moving with the family to a new country, setting up as an expert CIO, learning new experience, managing new set of stakeholder, a different culture, and a lot of things are similar, a lot of things are different. So again, a great experience.
Yeah, so I think just to summarize, starting from manufacturing engineer, an engineer in manufacturing, dirtying his hands with everything around, not just limiting to his own role, and then setting it up, by participating in all the IT initiatives, more from a continuous improvement point of view. And then slowly creating that credibility for himself, where he became the IT head when the guy left, and then taking up assignments, identifying new areas. For example, EDI, connecting different L&T businesses, moving to corporate and all of that. So you can see that how his career has evolved. So now let's pick on some specific themes which you would have already got a sense of, and let me pick on the first one, which is the power of taking initiative. while everyone does their own day jobs in operation, operating something or the other, some other processes, taking initiative to drive something new or to drive something new or to participate in a new organization initiative, that sort of comes across as a theme of Bhupen's growth. So give us maybe 2 or 3 examples of where it was your personal initiative which basically created a delight for people.
So, as I said earlier, in my first role at Ankleshwar plant, there was no boundaries. I was doing a lot of IT already, but there was no kind of banner which I was carrying or a title of IT. No way. So this was all because the initiative I took, and I successfully, without delivering, completing that, I never rested. So that was the trust of the IT team from HO I won, and after that they could plan and always say, okay, there is Bhupendra Pant who would take care. Let us kind of take initiative. Let us include Ankleshwar in this. So that was the thing I have always been doing. But there had been some implementations where it was really very different. I also thought whether this is I'm overdoing or, but it all paid off very well. One of the thing which I was when there was a merger of 2 businesses, there were 2 entities within L&T. One is EVAC Alloys and other is the WPB, which is welding product business, which was marketing entity basically. So when these 2 entities were part of different SAP system and belonging to different data center as well as managed by different entities. So when these two were a merger was announced, there were kind of options that we will for some time there will be reconciliation, and then at some point of time we will have an integrated system. So, but from my gut feel, I could feel that from the first month itself, if I can create some functionality for marketing what they are doing, and I can onboard them for doing those transactions in my system itself, then it would be kind of behave as a single entity in from the first month itself of the merger. So this when I gave this idea to our CEO and the directors, it was kind of though it was looked challenging, but that's okay. If you guys can do, okay, we have 20 days. Towards the end of the month, we should know anyway. So we created that, and IT team really worked hard to make this, on bringing those functionalities. They were not very perfect, but what surprised me was kind of the cooperation from business was manifold. They were kind of our CEO that time called people from all the region. There were coordinators who came. They created a war room kind of situation, which is basically to help IT what
Wow.
they needed, and it ran 24/7 in the last 15 days of the month. So whatever we were doing, there were no perfection. I looked at, okay, are you able to do this? No, kind of you can say too much time on layout and all. You are able to create an invoice. Go at this part, you do. Somebody will take over from IT. Next step was kind of they took it over. Their coordinator sat with us, taking the problem from their region and so taking it to the other parts of the country. So as a result of this, with lot of difficulties, though, lot of support from business, we could from the first month itself we came as a single entity, and we operated with little struggle for the first 3 months, but we had a lot of time and budget later to think of the new system. We called it Project Fusion, where we could have all the functionality of manufacturing company, all the functionality of marketing and dealership into one system. So we rolled out that project 5 months later. But what was very kind of appreciative of the business was you guys could stand when we actually really needed, and you did because of your action and effort. The reconciliation right from the beginning was avoided, and as a result, later on we had good time to think of a good system. Not only think of the end-to-end need, but we could think of what we need for the next 5 years and building that in that system. So this is one of the things purely came from initiative. Nobody pushed us, you do it this way. We had many other choices. We would have kind of easily said it cannot be done, citing the comments from all experts, but we actually jumped into this. So this initiative paid off, and we really stood up very high in the eyes of business. And it was appreciated widely by the other companies within the L&T group also.
So it was, it was like, IT generally plays safe, and
Yeah.
it was like, you playing it aggressive, and then the business supporting you. In fact, that reminds me of, if you guys think that, that IT cannot be aggressive. Actually, if IT is aggressive, the business people are very happy, and they support. So I have a similar instance, of my own. That there was like, there were two options we had. One was the safest option, which would push our go live to something like October, November, the Diwali time. And then there was a risky option where we wouldn't have a fallback option, but the go live can be done in July, August, which is the monsoon time. And we actually went to the plant head and his entire senior team with the pros and cons of both options. And they just looked at us and they said, can you pull off the second one? Because that is more aligned to business. If you go live, if you're able to go live during the monsoon when it's a lean season, though not perfectly, you still have some time to be perfect near the peak season of, the festival season. And when we said yes, they actually did exactly the same thing that happened to you. They actually put a very specific, we used to call it tiger team in in Tata Motors. They sort of put together sort of tiger team to help our entire team in smoothing any kind of issues that come in, and to make sure that that the risks are mitigated from a business point of view and from their support point of view. So I think so. If you take initiative, you will get all the support from business, but you have to start.
Yeah, another such initiative was, and it was again when I was I have already moved to corporate IT, and among the new technologies, mobility was catching up, and each business within the group was trying to look at what is the security framework, what does it take to create those apps, and the whole ecosystem, like trying to mobilize the early use cases of purchase approvals, purchase request approval, PO approval, leave approval. Those are the easy wins. So everyone was grappling with that. So at corporate IT, I thought, let me work with and central platform let us establish. So mobility, SAP, on a SAP platform we created that time Afaria, and SAP mobility platform was new, and we could set up those environment security assessment and all, and we approached all the businesses looking at, okay, if I can make apps for you, what would be your requirement? So each one they gave a list of 5-10 early requirement for the app. When I looked back at the whole inventory of that, so I could see there were a lot of commonality, and some of these variants which was already made in the corporate IT, we thought with little tweaking we can hand over these to these businesses, and also for the new development, because I can deploy the partner for a longer duration, so that would be very cost effective. And the mobility, which was basically app development, was looking at very costly affair. The cost came to 1/3 kind of, and the security environment was very much tested by the corporate, so they don't have to rethink, they only have to excite their business people, and then more use cases where they can derive value from the mobility, that they have to work closely on, and rest of the technical part they gave it to the corporate. So that was also one interesting thing, and this was nobody came to us and say you do it centrally, but we thought, okay, if we are already doing, why so many people would be doing this? So that part was also one thing which we purely initiative, rather than somebody expecting or asking us to do.
No, absolutely, and I think it's like being in corporate, right? You took the initiative of creating the highway, and then create some sort of a use it as you like it for your business.
So by the time I left, there were already 50 apps in that app store, and it was managed separately. Each guy was securely managing their bucket, their environment, and it was a good ecosystem by that time.
What kind of savings did it achieve for companies?
See, you can look at it. One is I cannot go to the numbers, but if you look at one is the trust, when it is centrally tested, the security architecture and all, the kind of time we spend by involving our security team there, it was thoroughly tested, again retested by these businesses. Number two is the continuous development, cost saving, which is, and also reusing some of the functionality, because if you look at ERP, the way you mobilize a purchase order approval, it is same as business A to business B. It may be some little tweaking based on what is their approval structure. So they didn't have to kind of rethink. And same things, one is while creating the app, there was a saving. And for the support of this, they don't have to sign separate no support model for those app and all. And whatever new thing we kept doing, we passed it on to them.
But you were telling me that this saved people more than 50% of the cost.
Approximately, if I give you a number, so in the beginning, if you look at creating a mobile app would cost them maybe around 10 lakh. So this straightway came to some if it is a complex app, still it will be within 3 lakh or so they will be able to.
That's almost a 70% saving.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. I think coming back to your current stint in OTE, tell us one initiative that you took on your own.
So one is it is into trading business, and we have number of service stations for vehicle. So one of the things is we wanted to improve the customer serviceability, customer experience. So OTE Connect in the mobile platform was one of the things I initiated here, which is basically to where customer can book appointment, you can give feedback, and one part was the customer facing, which customer interacts with. The other part is where my service advisor, when they are interacting with these customers, they work with a tablet, and all the relevant information is available to them. If a customer comes in and he quickly knows, the system pops up the information from background, what was his last rating, what other vehicle he owns, is there any recall pending for him. So this improves the context of interacting with him.
Awesome.
Otherwise, earlier he used to sit in his seat, he will make a job card, then he will take a walk around the yard to see his car, inspect, and that interaction was more of a less value add. The customer always felt, why you are teaching me how to manage a car or that. So here he could take a few clicks of his vehicle, and quickly he gets a digital copy of digitally signed copy of what his service order looks like. But the whole context of interacting with him, there is a lot of change now.
Absolutely. So meanwhile, I let me go back to our audience and see what kind of comments we have here. So we had now we have Ishwar.
Hi Ishwar. So Ishwar is my long time school friend from Assam, so he would be able to relate the cycle puncture shop incident here.
Yeah, I remember his comment somewhere that from where you were to where you came,
Yeah.
and I think he's one of the happiest guys out there to see you transform. So Amarinder has a question. Is what was the culture change that you witnessed in your current role as compared to working in India?
So one is definitely, if you have worked for a long time in an organization, like in my case it was L&T, almost 23 plus years. So that culture sinks in you. You are very much used to that culture. If it is available to you, you are kind of work with force of habit. So in my case, it was kind of, when I moved to Welspun, it was again a change of culture, technology, the way it is deployed, and the speed, the expectations, right? So this was a different, but the coming and working in Oman as an expat CIO, definitely there are technology doesn't change much. Your kind of same set of talent partner, which you are quickly able to align. But only slight difference is you have to look at what are the really compliance need of this place. How do you culturally limit yourself, and also what are the boundaries you need to. You have to quickly reset that, and you have to also understand the stakeholders' expectation. You may be ready to do 10 things right in your list, but what are the priority and what are the 10 points which your stakeholders look at? So slowly in the beginning, you take smaller project, go back with the solutions, do changes, and in doing so, you are constantly communicating to understand what is the importance of this to them. Are they kind of appreciative of this, or it is very kind of no hygiene for them? And some of the things which they really value, that you have to basically build your next level of solutions around them. So it is more or less same, I would say. As far as technology is concerned, it is more you have to change in the according to the people. Culturally, you are working with the multiple ethnicity, multiple education background, culture. So that's the only difference. You have to resettle yourself.
Amarinder, I hope that answers your question. Yes, the technology remains the same, the partners are common, but it's actually the culture, the stakeholder expectations, and the outcome expectations that will differ, and you got to focus on them. Absolutely. So I have another question here from Sats. He says a common theme appears: greenfield in IT management gives free rein, accommodation of failures, and then success for IT in 80s to 2000s, when IT has become so formalized with PMO and governance. How does one keep up a startup mentality in large organization where the management overhead can keep momentum down? Okay. So, that's a that's a long and complex question. If you allow me, Bhupendra, I can answer
Yeah,
that.
please.
And
I
of
can
course,
add my
yeah,
bit
please,
if I have to add
let's start
slightly.
with you.
If you look at the whole story of the large project implementation, like when we took the first ERP implementation, it ran to 1.5 years, right? And settling down another 1.5 years. So it was more of a marathon, 5-day cricket match kind of, if you compare this analogy with cricket. Over a period of time, if you see in the mid 2000 or later part, the projects were 3 to 5 months or next 6 months was the project timeline, so that you have a better governance structure, or you plan a smaller outcomes and divide them into multiple projects, right? So it's basically, if you go to the cricket analogy, they became 1 day kind of matches. And today what we see, you can't wait, you have technology, the cloud, the other component of the infrastructure already available. You straightway jump to kind of software as a service, and it's more of a T20 kind of environment. And we know there is kind of central element is no, your timeline can change, your expectations are same, and doing it right always means what is the relationship between the bat and ball, right? That is what is central to cricket. Similarly here also in IT, it is what is the expectation and what IT is delivering. So that is what it may be smaller 1 month project, or it may be large 1.5 2 year project.
Absolutely.
So
No,
yeah,
I think yeah. No,
yeah.
so he says that how does one keep up the startup mentality in a large organization when management overhead can keep the momentum down? So Sats, my personal take and experience on that is that there are sometimes these new initiatives where which require, see, you don't require a startup mindset in everything in a large organization. Like for example, when you're talking of some traditional risk averse operations, like for example finance and accounting, compliance, for example your anything to do with cash, or even let's say for example manufacturing, you don't really want to change it very often. You don't want sometimes a startup mentality there. So a typical that base layer framework is there, which says that okay, there's a stuff that you don't change much, which is the system of records, and there's something where you require a little faster pace, which is systems of differentiation. And then there are systems of innovation. And I think it's the systems of innovation where you need to really have that startup mentality, completely breaking new ground, things others haven't done before, or things that people have done in different industries, but not in your industry. So those are the kind of stuff which is where, I think, you need to be that protector, as a CIO or as a leader, you need to be a protector of these initiatives, like, take some money from here and there, spawn those initiatives, create some early successes, and then only take it outside, then only publicize it and get further funding. So, so yeah, as a leader, you yourself have to think like a startup as to, how do I create something quick and dirty and fast and prove and validate the whole idea, and then take it and then scale it up, right? So you need both of them. Okay, so yeah, Amarinder says, thanks for your comprehensive answer. It is helpful to get this perspective. So that was for his question here, which was about the culture change. Okay. So guys, keep your questions coming. Very soon we'll be moving to the rapid fire round. So if you have any curiosities for Bhupendra, please send them across. Anything that you can be curious about. I do have my own set of rapid fires for him. So Bhupen, let us quickly move towards something. Not everything goes right. Okay, so tell us about one failure that you had and how you recovered from it.
There are you have to basically know it early. Let me cite some examples. While in corporate IT itself, we were very rapidly creating new applications for all the corporate functions. Like for all, in that role, I was directly responsible for creating applications for all the corporate department, whether it is corporate legal, corporate finance, corporate HR. So one of the thing we did was, when I joined as a GT, I actually took pen and paper test, and there were booklets given to us, and then there were behavioral tests, there was technical test. So the corporate HR was trying to go digital in this. So we created a system for this, and that application, when we started, it actually worked well in few of the institutions, and the tests were carried out well. But there were some glitches, but then it was getting completed. But in few of the institute, there were problem where they have to resort to back to booklets, and this was a very, very serious situation. First time I was directly called by the CHRO and was they said, we are going to roll back this, or as a friend of IT, I'm telling you this. So this was a situation where I could realize it has basically not some of the things which were in the not in our control there, how it has to work because of the bandwidth in that college was distributed. It was purely because of that, but again, the onus is on us to perceive that. So he gave me time. If the next institute and all, it doesn't go well, basically, then it's something we'll have to roll back. We can't be, as a technology leader in the country, we cannot be showing this reputation to the colleges. So, but when I came back, the team came out with multiple ways to firefight this, and this one of the option was, do we carry the entire package in a very high-end laptop and
set up
a server there, makeshift server, and then remove this dependency of connectivity. And some of them, one of the idea was to re-architect this whole thing, and when the test starts, you basically give the complete test, so that after each question they don't have to click next. And so that was along with that, we also worked for other speed and thing, and we were ready with this in a week's time, though it was done on a war footing. And first few, to give them trust, I also personally traveled to few campuses where these tests were taken. My team was always then after that traveling with them till the time they signed off that it works well and it's fine. So it is important to win that trust back. The failures happen, but then good thing was our stakeholder gave us very good time warning, and they are in doing so, they are our friends. This was the learning. So here completely the revamp was possible because of that support. And the good thing was there were flood of new requirement from them after that. They started looking at digitizing a lot of the leadership center packages there. So yeah.
So I mean, good one that there was a failure, and then then they went back, and I think as a reassurance, the simple I would say the simple gesture of traveling along with the team as an IT person to the campuses and to see how the application performs and to gather some insights. I think while he says it very naturally, but this has a lot of impact and a lot of, I would say, trust and credibility impact on the stakeholders.
So there is also one thing I would add here is not that depend on their feedback. Going with them, as you say in the manufacturing, Gemba, Kaizen, being at the workplace where the things are happening. When you are there, you see it with your eyes. Sometimes the feedback may not give you the complete, the gravity of that situation.
So you're seeking first hand, not
feedback,
but observation.
Observations, correct. Yes.
So, Bhupendra, I'm a little aware of time. We have 5 more minutes left. So, we'll, with your permission, we had some glitches in the beginning. We'll extend it by another 5 or 7 minutes. I have my last question for Bhupendra, and then we move to rapid fire and the reverse question. So, Bhupendra, this one, treat it as a rapid fire. Okay. Because, right in the beginning, I told the audience that, we'll be covering technology is necessary but not sufficient. Even from a point of view of more technology is not good sometimes.
Yeah.
So share your experience on this whole overdose of technology and the fact that technology is necessary but not sufficient. And that means that it's not that if you put too much of technology out there, magic will happen.
Yeah, that is when I moved from L&T to the Welspun, I could see the kind of investment which were made there were humongous. At the same time, all the next generation products of SAP, you call it Ariba, you call C4C, SuccessFactors. So all this, when you started implementing together, that was the time it was actually good for an IT to see that such an investment appetite is there, right? It is a good thing that you don't have to worry about data center and all. There is software as a service available, and your job is to work closely with the business and see that how do you roll out that fast. But at the same time, technology investment is a necessary part is there, but then sufficient thing is it actually needs time to percolate, the team to work closely, step by step, year to work. So that was the learning I had there is you cannot do something, overdose of technology also. At the same time, there has to be some optimum way of doing it, which you have to basically interacting with the business and your own team, and slowly you have to figure out that. So what basically you should take on your plate to what you can not chew, that should not be the way.
So it's basically what you're saying is that have a roadmap. Don't overwhelm the stakeholders and users with technology. Take it one at a time, embed it, drive outcomes, and then go to the next one. Then you build credibility. Then you go to the next one.
Yeah, true. Sometimes, but then one thing, as I said, there is a good part of it that this comes, or at the same time, if the team is not ready to roll it out and the user are not there to absorb it, then there are delays with that. Yeah, and in doing so, the whole purpose of aligning it together and seeing the outcome may not be as expected. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's move on to the rapid fire questions. Now there is the first rapid fire which has come from Dattatray. So Dattatray is asking Bhupendra, Oman or India? If not CIO, then what? So the first question is, I think, more in terms of preference. Would you prefer Oman or India?
So I worked for long in India. At the time, I am preferring and loving Oman. Yes.
And Dattatray, you being in Muscat, I think you will agree with that. And I'm here for last 1 week, and what I've seen here, I like that. I like the way the country has built its infrastructure. I like the culture, the acceptance, of expats, while still retaining the Omani culture. Wherever I go, I see, money people, being very proud of their, of what they are, of their culture. Like for example, all Omanis dress in their traditional dress, but they're still like very accepting and tolerant of everyone else. So that question gets answered very easily. But the next one, if not CIO, then what?
I love long drives, so I would have been a cab driver, maybe Uber driver, which keeps me kind of taking to unknown destinations and.
Okay. So that's so, drive in whatever form, maybe a race driver. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so here are my rapid fire questions, and guys out there, if you have any rapid fires for Bhupendra, please send them across. So what's the most important thing in any initiative?
Initiative is basically you have to plan out what actually you are going to, what is going to be done, and who's going to do it, and you have to plan out what are the risk or failure which are there. So as my one of the bosses used to tell us, right, when we started any project, so it is all very easy to take off, and then landing is what is the difficult part. So you have to, while you are taking off, it's basically you have open sky and there are less challenges. But when the plane is landing, that is the time where you have all sort of limitation of time. Everything is setting up the constraint. So you have to think with that situation in mind when you are planning.
Yeah. So that means, the landing part, where you have to close the project, you have to settle the scopes, and you have to, drive the outcomes, and you have to train the users, embed the technology. I think all the hard things come towards the end of it. The riskiest part of flying a plane is the landing, and similarly, the riskiest part of executing any initiative is finishing it and transitioning it into the day-to-day business operations. Great learning there. Bhupen, my next question, what is your advice to fellow tech leaders?
So I came to technology as an immigrant. I'm a business guy, but what I have seen is why I came to technology because I was tech savvy at that point of time. I'm talking of more than 2 decades back. So I was looked at from a business. I was tech savvy, hence I was felt suited for this role. But over a period of time, I see the technology still it is important, but it is available in abundance. The whole lot of resources are available externally also. And today, if you look at the whole business savviness is what matters. So along with this, reach out to the business, go out and learn business, be available to them, look at more adding business value. So that is what would be the differentiator. So that's what my advice would be.
Be business savvy.
Be business savvy.
Technology is available.
Technology is available. Not that I'm not undermining importance of technology, but having so much of abundance of technology already available out there. So it's more of your business savviness, how you come out with idea,
Absolutely.
work closely with business. That will bear better results.
Absolutely. So that's a great advice, and I think it's a time-tested advice that if you are focused on business, if you drive business outcomes, if you understand business like nobody else, you will be successful. So maybe my next rapid fire is 3 things you do to connect personally with leaders.
So one is definitely when you go to the stakeholders or leaders, you have to basically share your story. You can't be going for a project or this. You have to basically, the whole presentation should run like a story of complete what the situation is. It's basically a storytelling to them. Then also when you narrate it to them, connect to them, think from their perspective. If you are suppose meeting a CFO, you have to literally bring that, what is your cost focus within your department or company. So if they look at you as a person who already have this focus, so one is that connectivity, they don't feel like, they will have to additionally supervise this. They know, okay, this, if it is coming from you, some of the CFO thoughts are already embedded in this interaction. If you're meeting in the CHRO, your personal appeal, there is a HR within us also. If that is reflected in your conversation, and so you connect better with them. And of course, you have to show the cost value or the way they need it, and you have to constantly keep learning from them. And when you promise them, you make sure that you don't over promise. You basically are attempting, and you get right support from them. So idea is to promise reasonably and then over deliver.
Yeah. So storytelling, think from their perspective, build it into your stories, constantly learn from them, under promise and over deliver. So another one is another question I have is like three principles to get the best out of your partners. Partners play a very critical role in technology industry. So how do you get the best out of them?
So one is definitely the partners are nowadays, if you look at the teams are small and your dependency on the partners are very high. Some of them are there for the short term, some are long time partner. But one is that constantly learn from the partner, get the kind of best practices. They should know what your when they deal with it, what you stand for, and that has to be communicated well to them. Align the team. Your team also should be the whole organization in your team should kind of interact in the same fashion with the kind of senior and the teams of the vendor. It's not like when I interact there is a difference, or the team somebody interacts. So these whole organizations philosophy should be reflected in that interactions, and have some set right expectations, and translate them into a right contract. If you do this thing goes right, there is a reward. This is not so good, then there are penalties. So these things should be very as clear as possible. So that is the kind, I think, good thing which in managing the relationship with the partners. Yeah.
Awesome. So we are like 7 minutes over, and I'll end my rapid fires here. And I've been grilling Pant for the last hour or more, and this is revenge time, Bhupen. So you get to take your revenge, but only one question.
No, it is always a pleasure to interact with you, Jagdish. Each time I had interaction, either I have learned something technically, behaviorally, or spiritually. And I know you are a avid reader, and I also love reading, but then you are kind of a great reader I admire. And maybe it would good to know what you are reading these days, what is you are busy reading. How do you pick up the next book you want to read, and what keeps you going in this reading? That would be something would be I would like to know, and also would be useful for a lot of our audience also.
Yeah. So for me, books are a stress buster. I used to read a lot right from my childhood, and then somewhere along the way I got too busy with work, and my stress levels went up. And when I was looking at reinventing myself around maybe about 15, 17 years back, one of the things I kind of anchored myself on was that I have to read something. Reading has to become like that atomic habit, that whether it's a 1 page or 5 pages, but every day I have to read. So I made this a habit to read every day. Sometimes I fall asleep after 5 lines. Sometimes I fall asleep after 5 pages. But my day ends with a book. Now coming to I love reading fiction. That takes you into a world of imagination of the author, and these authors also intersperse it with a lot of reality and research and all of that. I mean, my biggest example there will be Frederick Forsyth. So when you read Frederick Forsyth, you learn so much about the world of spies, and and various whatever industry he touches, like for example, okay, as well as business and non-fiction books, because that takes you into the realm of experiences. So I think our life is made up of experience, learning from experience, and imagination. So I try to get both. I read multiple books at a time. Sometimes, maybe one of them would be sort of a business book, and one of them would be a fiction. Morning times are generally for business books. Night time is for fiction, to de-stress and to go into a different world of imagination. And right now, I'm actually reading two books at the same time. So one is the entire story of Instagram. How it's like the biography of Instagram. The name is No Filter, and I'm right now also in the evenings I'm reading the latest book by Amish, which is the War of Lanka, and I'm just carrying this around, so I just thought I'll show this as well. So another book I read, because I'm building a startup as well, so I'm reading books around startups and about their stories. So one of the other books which was really impressive that I read recently. So anyone in the startup community out there, if you want to read something about scaling up a startup, that book would be The Cold Start Problem by Andrew Chen. That was really impressive, and those philosophies we are using in building Flock and Go, which is my startup. So
Great.
thanks, Bhupendra, for joining me here, and thank you everyone, for attending and engaging in today's ClariTea Chat, and all of you out there, who are watching a recorded version of it. Gratitude to you too for watching it. You can still send your questions, and we generally take them into a backlog and then take them into a Ask Me Anything kind of session, whatever are unanswered questions. So don't worry, even if you ask a question when you're watching a recorded version, we'll pick it up sometime later. Please do enjoy your family time. And Bhupendra, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so
here.
much for having me in this chat show. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And once again, before I close, my apologies for the technical glitch we had right in the beginning about the sound not being there. I know we lost a few of you because of that, but I do hope that you enjoyed the rest of the conversation. So thank you, everyone. Please enjoy your weekend, and bye bye from Muscat.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.